Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Artificial Intelligence in the Classroom. It's going to be a really great session for you all, facilitated by Dr. Sarah Gray here. And let's go ahead and get started. Remember that before leaving this session, we'll want to make sure that you take the survey because your opinion matters to us. I'm going to go ahead and drop the PD survey in there in the chat for you right now so you can open that tab. If you have not completed that survey first before, it's really important that we collect that information from you. Every time you attend one of these webinars, we like to make sure that we are serving you as best we can. And again, today we're going to be talking with, hearing from Dr. Sarah Gray as she, from the Doctoral Writing Center, as she gives us some great information in this 1-hour session where we will discuss how AI can be used to help our students think, how you can use it to save time grading and keep your lessons interesting and engaging. But first, of course, we want to ensure a smooth and productive webinar experience for all participants. Please make sure you follow these guidelines there on the screen. Keep your microphone muted. Cameras on is always welcome. It's always great to see everyone. By keeping your microphone muted, however, this will help maintain an organized and distraction-free environment. We also want to make sure that if you have questions, and we love questions, thoughts, ideas, please do pop over to the chat. We will review all questions and address as many as we can in our time together. Also, feel free to use the reactions buttons. There's at the bottom of your screen. You can always engage, give us feedback. We love to hear from you that way as well. This webinar will be recorded for future reference and for those who could not attend this morning's session. The recorded webinar will be distributed in the PD2Go newsletter later this month. Actually, next week. I believe you all should receive that by next Tuesday. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Gray.
Hello, I am Dr. Gray. Some of you may have been in the previous workshop that I did. I'm trying to even remember what the concept was. But anyway, I'm one of Westcliffe's Doctoral Writing Center specialists. I do want to just kind of let you know if it looks like I'm looking off into the middle of nowhere. I have two screens and my camera is here and my other screen is here. So I promise I am looking at all of you. So basically, I am like a lit review person all over the place. So if you have students who are having issues with that or anything with their dissertations, I am happy to help. I also train AI models as just kind of a side hustle, which is how I really got interested in using AI in the classroom as a professor, and helping students understand how to use it ethically. So that is, I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned in my study with you all. So if we can go ahead and go to our next slide. We're going to be talking about a number of things today. Specifically, as Joni already pointed out, we'll be looking at how students can use AI in the classroom, specifically how they can use it for research, and also how they can use it to improve their writing. And then we're also going to be looking at how AI can support us in and kind of adjacent to the classroom. So looking at how it can help us automate a lot of administrative tasks. Many of those things you may already know about, but we might not know exactly as much about how it can help us with some of the other very time-consuming aspects of our jobs, which is the grading aspect and personalized feedback and how AI can even help us with that. So we'll spend some time looking at those. All right, so before we even start getting into the meat of the presentations, I think we all probably can take a moment to appreciate, or at least try to help ourselves understand AI is an ally, not an enemy. So like Joni and I were talking just before we got started, basically I came upon this topic more as not a, ooh, hey, look at this great new tool type of a moment. Rather, I came upon it as well, if we can't beat it, we might as well join it, right? So if we know students know about it, we know that we are going to occasionally get work submitted that is completely generated by it. But what we can do, we won't be able to stop that 100%, but what we can do is try to help students understand issues with that. And then also that, not that they just can't and never should use it at all, but rather how to use it ethically. And so in the short time that we've had access to AI, actually, studies are already showing that it can actually benefit students in many ways when used ethically and properly, rather than, or basically what that means when they use it to assist them rather than use it to do the work for them. And so one of the ways it does this is to encourage independent learning. AI tools can really empower students to take charge of their own learning, fostering independence and critical thinking skills. It provides that immediate feedback that they often can't get in any other setting. So AI can give students instant feedback on their work, allowing them to learn from mistakes and improve continuously. It enhances accessibility. These AI-driven tools can make learning materials a lot more accessible to students with disabilities, ensuring that all of the students have equal opportunities to succeed. It facilitates collaboration. So AI can also support this collaborative learning environment by enabling students to work together more effectively, even in virtual settings. And it can also help prepare students for the future. So again, we know AI is not going anywhere. It is here to stay. And familiarity with AI technology prepares students for the modern workforce, where AI and digital literacy are increasingly important every day. But wait, there's more. Next slide. It also helps us. So these studies are also showing how we can use it. It enhances our teaching efficacy or efficiency because it can handle like all of our repetitive tasks, such as, or it can help us with grading, freeing ourselves up to essentially focus on more interactive and personalized teaching. It supports personalized learning by allowing us to tailor educational content to meet the unique needs and learning styles of each student, helping them to achieve better outcomes. It helps with research by quickly analyzing vast amounts of data, providing us with valuable insights and accelerating the research process. Another thing we'll talk about a lot is acts as a writing coach. So AI-powered writing assistants can really help students improve their writing skills by providing instant feedback on things like grammar, style, structure, gaps in arguments, quality of thesis statements, basically anything that has to do with writing. And it promotes continuous learning by offering educators professional development resources and opportunities to stay updated with the latest teaching strategies and educational tech. So it's good stuff. Now, I do have some suggested readings. These are basically the sources, many of the sources that I use to just kind of reference as I put together this presentation. And guess what? These were found for me by AI. So I asked them, and basically putting together this presentation, I used AI quite a bit to inform how I was going to structure it, what topics I was going to focus on, and also the research that I used, just essentially so that I would be able to illustrate, you would be able to see firsthand how it can help you. Because imagine this workshop as a class. If I have a topic that I'm wanting to discuss with my class, and I have perhaps a giant lecture put together, but I don't have slides for it, guess what? I basically fed the piece that I wrote for this workshop into AI and said, hey, write me some slides for this. And it did. And so those are the types of things that we can use AI for. But we're going to talk more about how AI can help us do all these things in a minute. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to just kind of like take our temperature. How do we feel about AI on this call today? Do we love it? Do we hate it? Are we ambivalent? Have you used it? So I just want to kind of open up the chat. Joni, if you can let us know if anybody has any questions or has any thoughts that they want to share with us.
Yeah, there's a few great comments in there. Professor Salzman said, to date, I think of AI as a tool similar to a calculator, but it is growing. Uh, I just want to make sure I am not shutting any a student from real world advantage. And that's what we really, of course, we want to keep it student focused. Dr. Papadopoulos says, use the tool, don't let the tool use you. That is so true.
Very
Cautiously
much.
optimistic, love human intelligence and like AI, right? So it's like, okay, you like the AI, we want to make sure we stay focused on the human intelligence. Let's see here. Dr. Johnson said, yesterday I asked about articles that Richard Dawkins was cited on the peer-reviewed literature. It gave me 3 books. I told AI that books are not peer-reviewed, and it said, you are correct. And then it gave me 3 articles. I wrote back saying that none of the articles had Richard Dawkins in it. It said, you are right. I asked why it lied to me, and it said it made a mistake. Yes, sometimes our AI, and I noticed this too, sometimes it's like a bad customer service agent. It's just trying to help, and gives you poor information.
Yes.
Some has said it's like an assistant in the class. And Dr. Joseph said, when we say AI in relevance to what you're talking about, are we referring to ChatGPT? Oh, good question. Are we talking specifically about generative AI? And I think you're going to mention some tools later on too. So we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So lots of
Um,
great comments popping in there. Keep them coming, everyone.
Absolutely. And to answer that question, it's not just ChatGPT that we're talking about. In fact, I don't really mention ChatGPT as one of the tools that we're talking about in today's piece, just because their AI is so much bigger than just ChatGPT. However, I can't believe that it has happened, but I do actually use ChatGPT on a regular basis. But to Dr. Papadopoulos's point, yes, you do have to check it. And that's actually, with what I do in my side hustle with training AI models, I feel like the fact that they require humans to tell them how to think can make them a lot less scary, because in the end, they are kind of still just digitized human intelligence. They are able to, of course, extrapolate more from what we teach them than we are necessarily able to get on our own. But at the end of the day, they don't know more than what we have put into their heads already. They're proverbial digital heads. So anyway, that's they are very interesting. I'm glad that there's a lot of openness to AI on this call today. So let's go ahead and dive right into discussing it. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. So this is going to be what we look at today as far as AI for students. We'll be looking at using AI for research and using AI as a writing coach. Specifically at, how we can use it for lit reviews, data collection and management, data analysis and visualization. You can read the bullet points. Just wanted to make sure you had a bit of an overview. Yes, we do need to fact check humans too. I just saw that in the chat. So, but I do love the way that AIs are. They try to be as human as possible. Oops, sorry about that. My mistake. And they are very prone to hallucinations. So we absolutely need to double check and make sure that they are not hallucinating when they give us an answer, which I have encountered many times. So let's move on to our next slide. Okay, so first things first. Oop, do we have the one right before this? Literature review automation. There we go. Perfect. All right. So AI powered tools like Rayan, Mendeley. I always call it Mendeley. EndNote, Zotero. These all offer features that help automate and enhance the literature review process. This was the first one that I run into because this is what I help a lot of my students in the doctoral writing center with, is trying to figure out basically how to make those connections between sources. And these tools can assist students not only in searching for relevant papers, but also in organizing their references, summarizing key findings, and also finding connections between the different articles that they're looking at. So for example, you have a graduate student embarking on a comprehensive literature review for their dissertation. They can use any one of these AI tools to scan numerous databases for relevant articles, automatically categorize them based on themes, which is great for helping them organize that lit review, and then generate summaries of key points and trends. Reduces the manual burden of sorting through these vast amounts of literature, and also ensures a more thorough and systematic review. So our main benefits here are efficiency, because it speeds up the process of finding and reviewing relevant literature; comprehensiveness, ensuring a thorough review by uncovering papers that might be missed through manual searches; and also insightful analysis, so identifying trends and gaps in the literature to help formulate research questions. So of course, our challenge here is just going to be to make sure that students understand those summaries that are generated are not for them to copy and paste. It's for them to reference, right? So, and then also ensuring that they understand, just going into ChatGPT and saying, hey, find me some articles, as we've already discussed, doesn't always work. So using those tools that have been specifically trained to do this one task. And so that's where a little bit of research comes in handy, where, knowing that Rayan or Mendeley is going to be better at really searching through those peer-reviewed articles and finding you exactly what it needs, as opposed to ChatGPT, which is going to be a lot more Google-based, right? So literature review automation, and that's probably one that most of us are a little bit familiar with already. But we also have, if we go to the next slide, tools for data collection and management. So yes, depends on the topic. AI-powered surveys, such as those provided by SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics. I'm sure every single one of us completed at least one survey on SurveyMonkey, if not 9,000. These can all optimize the survey design, distribute surveys to targeted populations, and also analyze responses. So imagine you're a PhD student conducting a survey on the impact of social media on mental health. These tools can help design effective questionnaires, distribute them to relevant demographics, and then also analyze that collected data for trends and insights. So we've got a lot of benefits here as well. So improved accuracy as AI ensures data is collected in a structured and reliable manner. We've got time savings, automating data entry and also initial analysis, and then enhanced data quality, identifying and correcting inconsistencies in data. This is a massive strength with AI technologies, is this basic the ability to handle huge data sets and find trends and similarities and conclusions within that data quickly and much more efficiently sometimes than humans are able to do. Again, it can still be prone to hallucinations, but when it actually has actual data fed directly into it, it tends to be a lot more accurate. All right. So our next method or our next tool is data analysis and visualization. It's incredibly useful for these two pieces. We've got tools like IBM Watson and Google Cloud Auto ML. These can perform complex statistical analyses and machine learning algorithms to uncover patterns and insights within data that we might not see with the naked eye. So if, for example, if you're analyzing environmental data, AI tools can perform regression analysis, cluster analysis, and other advanced statistical techniques. Visualization tools like Tableau and Microsoft Power BI can then create interactive graphs and heat maps to illustrate key findings that can then be put into a lovely dissertation and used to help visualize those findings. So benefits here include things like advanced insights, as AI algorithms can uncover those hidden patterns and relationships in data that we might not see ourselves, accuracy, reducing human error in data analysis, and then also effective communication with visualizations helping to represent complex data in an understandable and impactful way. Now we have next hypothesis generation and testing. So machine learning models, and actually this was one of the last things that I've looked into is the machine learning models and simulation tools. The MLs like TensorFlow and PyTorch can be used to generate hypotheses by identifying patterns and suggesting possible explanations. Simulation tools like AnyLogic and Simulink can test hypotheses by running numerous scenarios and predicting their outcomes. So for example, researchers studying the effects of climate change on agricultural yield can use AI to generate hypotheses based on historical data and simulate future scenarios to test these hypotheses. The benefits include innovative ideas, as AI can suggest novel hypotheses that we might not consider ourselves as researchers. Efficiency, automating the testing of multiple hypotheses, and also predictive power, enhancing the ability to predict outcomes and test theories under various conditions. All of these are possible benefits to these hypothesis generation and testing tools. And then finally, as a language, very much a language-based person, this is one that I thought was really cool, using natural language processing for text mining. I had a colleague who was doing a study, linguistic study on sermons, church sermons, and he had to do all of his text mining manually. It took him thousands of hours to try to go through everything that he was looking for. And now if he had just done it, 10 years later, he would have been able to use one of these NLP tools to do it for him. So NLP tools like NLTK, Spacey, IBM Watson Natural Language Understanding, and also Google Cloud Natural Language API provide capabilities for text processing and analysis. Like, for example, if you have a student that's conducting qualitative research on social media discourse, they can use NLP tools to analyze thousands of tweets or forum posts in minutes. These tools can identify recurring themes, sentiment trends, key entities mentioned in the text, and provide comprehensive understanding of the data in just a fraction of the time that it would take us to do it manually. So these benefits for NLPs include everything from efficiency and automating the analysis of these large text data sets, depth of analysis, uncovering patterns and insights not immediately apparent through manual analysis, scalability, enabling the analysis of vast amounts of text data and accuracy, and then also reducing human error in text analysis. So those are just some of the tools that are available as far as our students are concerned for using AI in their research. Before we start talking about how AI can help them as a writing coach, I wanted to take a moment to double check with Joni, see if we've got anything in the chat that we need to look at, any questions that we have coming up. How's everybody feeling?
Feel free to jump into the chat. Professor Saltman said this is great information. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you noticed in your research, Dr. Graves, you were putting these together, these lists together and collecting this information. If you noticed which tools like had a lower price point or were even free, are
Mhm.
there some companies, I've read that there's some companies that are, making some of these tools specifically for student research use
Mhm.
at a very good price point because of just trying to make sure we don't have too much of what we typically talk about it like the digital divide and some
Oh,
of those
yeah.
social issues. Yeah.
Yes, very much. That's a great question. The vast majority, I would almost go so far as to say, as all the tools that I have included in this list are ones that are really, I wouldn't say necessarily aimed at students, but are very strongly recommended for students and researchers in these fields. And when it comes to pricing, almost all of them have a free option, at least. And when it comes to pricing after the free option, it's usually somewhere in the area of anywhere from $10 to $25. So a few of them, like IBM Watson, can start to get a little bit more expensive, but they all kind of deal in tiers, like how much of it you're actually going to be using, similar to the way that like ChatGPT does. You can get one of the
Right.
earlier iterations of it for free, or you can get 4.0 for, I think it's $29 a month at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is, almost all of them are really very, very cost effective for the vast majority of people. And that's actually one of the issues that I've read a lot of articles that people are worried about, the return on investment, the amount of money that people are spending to try to train these models versus the amount of money that comes back in isn't
Mhm.
necessarily balancing out. Because a lot of the tools are free, a lot of the tools or are very, very inexpensive. So it's, yeah, they're very cost effective, and so they're not as much helping to contribute to that digital divide, which is a great thing.
I will my heart will break for the CEO over at OpenAI, I'm sure.
Um,
Dr. Andrews said, um, is this something we should allow? She's concerned that students will never learn qualitative analysis.
And that is, again, it comes back to the ethical use of AI. And that's I didn't allow necessarily as much time as I don't even think it's as much time as I should have. I feel like this is a question that we all know needs to be at the front of our minds whenever we're talking about something like this, because we never want to essentially get to a point where we're allowing the AI to do all of the work for us, right? Or to, as you know, to your question, we don't want this to take the place of understanding how to perform good research. We don't want it to take the place of understanding how to do that analysis. It is very simply a tool. So once we know how to do this analysis, once we know how to do this research, once we know how to do these things, AI becomes an additional tool that we can use to speed up the process on the back end, is the way I look at it, and the way I feel that we should communicate it to our students. Because no, we never want to get to the point where we're saying, oh, you don't have to learn that analytical technique because you can just pop some numbers into AI,
Right.
right? We never want to get to that point. Um, and we've, even just as an English person, I'm feeling, as I look at the literature review part, remembering back and doing like my literature review with my lovely card catalog, spending hours and hours and hours in the library. I'm like, man, if I had just had Sotero or something like that, I would have been done with it in 5 minutes. but I would have lost out on a lot of opportunity in learning exactly how to find a lot of connections myself and really go through that literature. And so this is where it's a very fine line that we walk between understanding that the skills that we are not only encouraging but requiring our students to learn are the most important things, and these are just additional tools to help simplify methods after the fact. So AI, short answer, AI will never take the place of making sure that our students understand how to actually do these things themselves.
That's an excellent way to put it. I think one of the things I kind of come up against, even in simple, just, Gen AI, ChatGPT activities, is these have to be back to that calculator metaphor, right? You have to understand what you're putting in to know that what you're getting out is good or not.
Right.
Um, so really how we incorporate these tools is almost more important than which one we're using sometimes, it seems.
100%.
Um, One other question that does come up in a lot of the research that uh, I think is important to think about as educators. So I just want to get your thoughts on it while I have you here. Is how do you feel as I mean, you said you're training some chatbots, and you kind of have really immersed yourself in this space. How have you found that the bias that we have either within algorithms or within the tools, either, just what we see, um, how are some of these tools handling that, dealing with that, facing that? I know that um, in one of our reading clubs, we talked about how the backlash on just what's the Google one? I forgot its current name, Gemini.
Yeah.
Uh, when last month it turned George Washington black, and everybody was like, "See, these things don't work." Uh, what are some of the how are some of these developers dealing with that kind of trying to reduce that bias in those algorithms?
What's really interesting is that is actually one of the things that I specifically work on when I'm training these models is so we will get here's a prompt that someone put in, and then here are the responses that the model generated for it, and we have to analyze those responses to make sure that bias is not present. And if it is, then we have to flag that response for whether it's like they call it tier one or tier two, like is it basically like a racist response, is it encouraging like behavior that would be belittling or something to a
Mhm.
particular group of individuals. So basically they are using humans to go back through those responses and make sure that the algorithms are not you know are not being racist, are basically trying to remove that bias.
Yeah.
So I guess the short answer to your question is they are using us to look for it and try to remove it essentially manually. So again, that comes back to as great as AI is, it's still far, far, far from being A, perfect, and B, something
Mhm.
that can operate independent of humanity, which I think is great because if nothing else, it keeps us that much further away from, Terminator 57 or whatever number
Being taken over by
we're
the
on at this
bots.
point.
I'm kind of ready for it at
So,
this point. No, I think
yeah.
that's a really great opportunity for educators, though, because I think that that's something we can work into our classes, work into our curriculum, is asking our students how they're arguing with the tool, right? How
Yes.
they're engaging and getting them to think about it as well. Let's see. Dr. Lipa, what is Skynet? What's
That's
Dr.
Terminator.
Lipa? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
GIGO,
Gigo?
garbage in, garbage out.
Oh, Geico. Oh, I didn't know how to acronym now. Ooh, nice. Thank you. I did not know
Yeah.
that was an acronym now. Thank you so much. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Gray. Yeah, all of these really important considerations as we're thinking about our tools.
Yeah. And just one last thing that I would only good when it's okay. So but anyway, one last thing that I'll say about the way that we're trying to teach these algorithms is when we fight with the AI and tell it that it's wrong, it learns from us. And so you don't even realize it that you are literally teaching the AI in real time. So I had a similar research, like I was, give me some sources on such and such. And I typed, I was like, you are not listening to me. What is your problem? And it's like, you can get like really kind of upset, but it listens to that and it takes it into the algorithm and it realizes, okay, so this is, let me pull apart these words and figure out exactly what this person was really looking for. But it also teaches you the importance of prompt engineering. So some of us have probably heard this phrase, basically that it's just a fancy way of saying how to write a good question, right? Or essentially, even to make it more specific, how to craft a question that is most likely to create a valuable output in a large language model. And so the more we know about prompt engineering, the more likely we are to have valuable experiences with AI. And that is, there are courses at MIT in prompt engineering at this point. And it's, but lucky for us, mere humans, there are also free courses on like Coursera. You can pay, I want to say it's like a $7 course on Udemy for how to learn just solid prompt engineering for all different kinds of AI models, not just GPT. So yeah, all of that. All right, so let's go ahead and keep on keeping on. Moving on to using AI as a writing coach. And this is something that I almost wish that this had been something that was available to me when I was in college. But at the same time, I'm also kind of happy that it wasn't available. Essentially, the way I look at AI as a writing coach is sort of like a writing center at 3 a.m. Like you can drop in and ask it questions and get answers, even when your writing tutors are not actually in your university writing center. So let's start with the first option that we have here: idea organization and outlining. Tools like Scrivener, MindMeister, these use AI to help students organize their ideas, create detailed outlines, and manage research notes and draft. So I actually used Scrivener when I was working on my dissertation. It was, of course, the literal very first iteration of it, so it didn't have nearly as many wonderful bells and whistles as it has now. But I have to tell you, the little songs that it plays for you when you hit your daily word count, priceless. So things like that. It helps you not only get all of your work organized. These can help you organize it into chapters. It can make suggestions for where to put like different sections and subsections within your content, but it also helps you to organize and plan your project. And so if you tell it, I have 80,000 words that I need to write for this dissertation, and I have this many days to do it in, it'll break it up into days and say, okay, you need to write this many words a day, or you can break it into weekly goals. And then it can also, these are less helpful when it comes to identifying gaps in reasoning and such, and much more helpful when it comes specifically to just helping you get your project corralled, right? But I cannot recommend Scrivener highly enough. It was actually created as a tool for NaNoWriMo, if any of you, National Novel Writing Month, for people to use helping, like trying to get through writing a novel in a month. And it exploded, and people started realizing just how beneficial it can be for everything from writing a short story to writing a dissertation, right? So I have not actually done a whole lot of research into MindMeister, but I know there is a lot out there. And it's one of Scrivener's biggest competitors. So these are two excellent tools that you can use to benefit structure, ensuring logical flow of ideas, efficiency, streamlining the writing process, and also focus and keeping track of research and drafts. So I'm sure many of us, as we were, going through our research, you go, wait, is this my draft from last month, or is this the one that I'm working on now? Like basically keeping everything organized. These tools are wonderful for that. All right. Then we also have, this is where we really get into the kind of writing center in the middle of the night thing, getting feedback and suggestions for revision. So tools like Grammarly, Pro Writing Aid, and Hemingway Editor, these all provide grammar and style suggestions. They can help students improve sentence structure and also enhance readability. So imagine you're, that graduate student revising a research paper at 3 o'clock in the morning. These tools can offer real-time feedback on grammar, style, readability, and also helping you to refine your arguments and improve your overall writing quality. As with everything, it's important to make sure that you kind of double check with these because they can get a little crazy. But they are actually, especially these particular ones that are meant specifically to assist with writing, they are trained specifically to help the student understand the nuances within like all of the kind of like the grammar rules and such that we have to follow. So Pro Writing Aid and Hemingway Editor are two that I really enjoy. Grammarly, of course, is the one we hear about all the time. But it's not my favorite, but I don't have anything against it at the same time. Benefits that we have here include efficiency. It saves time by automating grammar and style corrections, improved quality, in-depth analysis to enhance your clarity and coherence, and also giving that personalized feedback. So offering tailored suggestions to suit your writing style and goals instead of just pointing at something and going, that's wrong, but not giving you any suggestions for how to fix it. So next, language and translation support given our students. This is something that's very important. And this is actually something that these models can be very good at, especially DeepL. So tools like Google Translate and DeepL offer context-aware translations, which is really important, especially when we're working in a field like academia, where formality can be key. And if you translate something from one language to another and don't take something like context into account, it can be a problem. But if you're writing a paper, for example, in a non-native language, these tools can help translate sections for clarity and ensure accurate communication. So benefits here: accessibility, enabling writing and publishing in multiple languages; accuracy, ensuring precise translations; and then also reach, so broadening the audience for research. Like so many things, it's important with using AI as a tool for translation that, if you were to write a paper in one language and then go to AI and say, hey, translate this into English for me. Obviously, that is one of those moments where we want to make sure that it's understood that just copying and pasting the translation from the AI model into a paper is not okay, right? These tools are not meant to basically do all the translation and learning for us. These are a tool, right? So again, it comes back to that ethical usage piece. All right. And then time management and productivity. So we were all, or are all, students in academia. We know how overwhelming things can get. So we have tools like Trello, Asana. I also use Notion. These all use AI to optimize task management, set deadlines, and also track progress. So you can just, as an instance, graduate students managing multiple projects, these tools can help them stay organized, meet their deadlines, and monitor progress on each piece. So benefits of these include better time management, helping to stay on schedule, increased productivity, optimized task management, stress reduction, and then providing an organized approach to project management. All right. So again, let's have a pause for discussion and questions.
Yes, lots going on in the chat talking about how we write prompts, how we how much of that is an issue to where we it's one of the challenges with many AI models. A couple other examples: Quillbot, and then one of the comments was translations come up within AI percentage. So things like when our English language learning students go, oh, well, I just translated this. I wrote it all in my native language and just translated it over. And that's why it's coming up with such a high percentage, and some of the challenges there. Let's see. Dr. Johnson mentioned that the AI writing detectors are also evolving and getting better. They have already added features to Turnitin detectors, and Grammarly is working with newer tools to help separate it and make them more separable for detectors, as that has been a major problem. So these are, again, things that are developing. It's not perfect today, and it probably won't be perfect in 6 months based on the history
Yeah,
of AI, or 6 years.
right.
Let's see. The use of the flag your turn it on agent almost, yeah, the definitely flags the turn it on, turn it in, excuse me, quite often.
Mhm.
So
And what's
definitely
really,
have to pay attention to that as educators.
yeah. And what's also really interesting and something that I point out in the video that I did on the Turnitin AI detector is it is getting better at detecting actual AI generated writing, but it's also important to remember that the percentage that it gives is a percentage of likelihood that this is AI generated text, not the percent of the text that is AI generated. And that's important to remember because basically what AI generated text does is attempt to mimic the best writing style, the best way to put together a set of words to create sense. And who are the ones who do that? We do, right? So what tends to happen, like a few friends of mine are, yeah, because we're dorks, right? So a few friends of mine and I ran several of our papers through AI detectors, and they came back saying that they were like 86%, 79% AI generated when they were 0% AI generated. And the reason that it was thinking that is because it was looking for things like, how well put together is your argument? How well, how well do your sentences flow, and all those types of things that AI models are trained specifically to do well now. They used to be horrible at it. But so when they see that really high caliber writing that we as professors and researchers are capable of putting out, they go, this might have been written by AI. Yeah, I'm not sure. So again, that's, important to remember that just because it has that percentage on it, that means that's the percentage of likelihood, not the percentage of the text that was actually generated by AI.
Yeah, that's
Any
definitely a
else?
good way to put it. We do have training, everyone, just so you do know. Many of you maybe have been in the room on the Westcliff University policy. We did a webinar earlier this year. Dr. Crow did that for us. And it definitely, she did a great job laying out those steps that you will want to take to not just look at that percentage as truth, right? And give the students a big zero and move on, but really how to have the conversation with your student, steps that you need to take, and of course, when to get your program chairs involved. So yes, definitely can. I'll drop the link in that by the end of this webinar if anybody did not make it to that one and would like to go back and review that information.
Wonderful. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the part that I'm sure a whole lot of us are definitely excited for, and that's how AI can help us. So I have two specific pieces that we'll be looking at here. That's automating all of our little administrative tasks that we all adore so much, and then also providing personalized feedback and grading. Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. So first things first, scheduling and notifications. So we all know about like iCal, Google Calendar, all of those types of things. So we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about a little bit more deep dive type things. Tools like Asana and Notion that use AI to automate scheduling, set reminders, and send notifications. For instance, imagine you're a busy professor. We don't have to imagine, right? We are. With numerous meetings, classes, and office hours. These tools can help you to automatically schedule appointments based on availability and send reminders to students and colleagues and ensure you never miss an important meeting or deadline. And you can actually integrate Asana and Notion. So if you've never looked at either one of these, or if you'll use only one and not the other, basically what's really great is you can put these two together. And this is, yes, I do this. So to streamline your workflow even further. So for example, you can use Asana to manage tasks and deadlines, while Notion can serve as a central hub for notes, schedules, and project details. And this integration allows tasks that are created in Asana to appear in your Notion calendar, ensuring that all of your information is in one place and up to date. So even better, because it does get better, The Notion calendar can basically take any other calendar that you have and combine it and bring it all into one place. So I am the side hustle queen. I have like 18 jobs. Each one of them has a different Google Calendar and, all of these different things. The Notion calendar brings them all together into one spot. So if I have a meeting that has been scheduled with Westcliff, it's on my Notion calendar. If I have a meeting that's scheduled at my like AI training gig over here, it's on my Notion calendar, and I don't have to manually move them in there. Notion automatically goes to each of my calendars, grabs everything that I have, and puts it all together in one place. So if you guys have 17 different calendars like so many of us do, check into Notion. It is amazing and 100% free. And also Asana is one. Well, they are both completely free, basically for everything that you're going to need it for. There are paid versions, but I have yet to encounter a situation in which I have to use one of their paid products. So main benefits that we have here: efficiency, saves you time by automating scheduling and task management. Both Notion and Asana can literally like ping and pull up, you have some time available here, so if I'm looking for a time to set a meeting with a student, for example, it'll tell me, instead of me having to go and like search through my calendar, it'll say, here are the times and days that you have available. Super simple. It ensures no appointments or deadlines are missed, better time management, allowing you to focus on more critical tasks. So, and then integrating that Asana and Notion enhances these benefits by creating a seamless workflow that consolidates information and improves your overall productivity. Highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. All right, next, managing online discussions. Tools like Piazza and Packback, these use AI, to monitor online forums, provide real-time feedback, and also facilitate student engagement. So basically these tools can look at the forums, look at the responses in the post for relevance, and provide instant feedback to students' questions, and also encourage active participation. These do require a little bit of training, like you have to essentially train them a little bit. So these are not tools that you can just like pop in an afternoon and say, okay, Piazza, start doing this for me. It does take a little bit of time to set up, but once they are set up, I have not used them myself, but I have colleagues who use them and swear by them. So the benefits that are included here are, improved engagement, as AI can basically keep the discussions on track and relevant. They're time saving, reducing the need for constant manual monitoring, and also enhanced learning with real-time feedback and support for students. Again, of course, as with everything, this is going to be one of those things that it's not a replacement for us and our involvement and our engagement in a discussion. Rather, it's just an assist, right? All right. Generating emails and automatic replies. If you're anything like, I don't even have to say if you're anything like me, we all probably get 7,000 emails in a day. And so we would like something to help us with it. AI can streamline communication through generating these emails and automatic replies. Tools like Smart Compose and Microsoft Outlook's Cortana can draft emails, provide suggested responses, and also automate follow-up reminders. So I'm sure we've all had that moment where we click on a new email, read it, and go, oh, I'm going to respond to this in 10 minutes, and then completely forget about it. And next thing you know, you've missed it. They can all basically pop back up. Like Google Gmail does it automatically for us now. It just says, hey, you got this 4 days ago. Are you going to respond? Yeah, that never happens. I've never missed an email. But these tools can help us and go, here's 6 emails that you got 3 days ago. Do you want to, I don't know, maybe do something there? Or that's basically what these tools help us to do, in addition to other things. These tools can help draft personalized responses. They can provide instant answers to frequently asked questions, which I know is hugely helpful for many of us. And then also remind us to follow up on those important emails so we don't miss them. So benefits here: efficiency, saving time by automating email responses, improving communication, ensuring timely and accurate replies, and then also reducing our workload, allowing us to focus on more personalized interactions. All right, so those are just some basic overall kind of automating tasks when it comes to like the little like small, well, not necessarily small things that we have to do, but anywho, I feel like I'm worried we're gonna maybe go over on time, but questions about that before we talk a little bit about ethical AI usage and then also AI for personalized feedback.
One comment I do want to highlight a little bit here. Dr. Papadopoulos said, I got duped into thinking real human replying for just a few seconds with some of those tools. And I think that that's really important because so am I. I'm like, wait, what did this just come through? Oh, wait, that's not from somebody. I've seen that on emails. And I think that's also really important. That's a really good opportunity for our students too, because there's so many scams right now that are being run by AI.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, anyway, just that's another ethical thing for me though. But I just wanted to comment that, we read that there in the chat.
Yeah. And that actually is kind of a nice little, slide right into our talk about ethical usage. If we're going to be using AI as a tool, even in any kind of a capacity in our classrooms, whether it's, something like Piazza or to help us with email responses or something, one of the most important things to do is acknowledge that you're doing it. Make sure your students understand that this is something that is happening. So for example, I already let you guys know, this presentation was compiled using the assistance of ChatGPT 4.0. So it's not, you don't, that doesn't mean that you have to go into every single one of your lectures or class presentations and go, oh yes, I use ChatGPT to make my slides, but just make sure that they are aware that it is, if you're using Cortana or something like that. A lot of the responses that I get from people in my emails, I'll actually say, email compiled by Cortana. And so you're able to see, okay, well, this wasn't directly from the person. So if I have a question about it, then I need to make sure and I go back to them. So, and then essentially just, I have some do's and don'ts here. And one of the most important don'ts for everyone, us and students especially, don't expect AI to do the work for you. Don't ever copy and paste from it. Don't ever just set it up and just let it go and do its thing and never come back and look at it. Because yeah, AI still needs us very much. All right. And so that I can make sure that we've still got at least a few minutes to talk about this at the end, AI grading tools, things like GradeScope, PeerGrade, ExamSoft, these can help us to quickly evaluate things like multiple choice tests, essays, coding assignments, efficiency, consistency, and detailed analysis. It can help us to see where especially ExamSoft, it can provide a detailed analytics on student performance so that we can see basically the areas where students need more support. And then also things like PeerGrade they can provide feedback. And so it can basically look at an essay, read it, and assess it without any kind of bias. Whenever you're grading an essay or something along those lines, there's always going to be at least a tiny inherent level of subjectivity. As much as we try to be objective, there will always be a little bit of subjectivity, and tools like PeerGrade can help to try to remove that. Again, not a replacement for us, not a replacement for us as professors or as assessors, but something that to try to help us maintain our objectivity in especially assessing something like an essay. And that's when it comes to the personalized feedback piece, which is our next slide. Tools like ProWritingAid, LightSide, and WriteLab use AI to offer tailored personalized feedback on assignments, improving the quality of student work. So basically what these do, ProWritingAid uses natural language processing, so NLP, to analyze text for grammar, style, and readability, and it provides real-time feedback as students write, suggesting corrections and improvements. So that's something that you would basically set up like a writing, like a moment where they would go in and do a writing exercise. ProWritingAid gives detailed reports on writing style and structure. LightSide is an AI tool designed for educational settings that offers feedback on student writing by analyzing text for various elements like coherence, argument strength, and language use. And it helps students understand their strengths and areas for improvement. And WriteLab uses machine learning to provide detailed feedback on writing. It focuses specifically on grammar, clarity, style, and what's great is giving students actionable suggestions to improve their drafts. So these are things that students can use on their own, or that you can integrate into class assignments, as they submit drafts of proposals or chapters. All right. And that's it. Okay, so now the rest of the time that we have, which is 6 minutes, is
6 minutes for
discussion.
discussion.
Yes.
I'm just replying to a couple people in the chat here. Yes, so these slides will be available. Again, we send out the PD to go newsletter from the Professional Development Office in the Light Center at the end of each month. And so with the timing of this great webinar, that will be next week. Thank you so much, Dr. Gray. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Have you tried any of the tools that Dr. Gray listed here and you want to share some feedback?
This is probably a really stupid question, but all of
No such
these
thing.
tools, I'm really new to AI. All of these tools, are they in like the iTunes music store? Are they apps, or like when I want to try these tools that you just showed us, where do I go? Like
Can I make
how do I even try them, or like how do I purchase them? Where do I go? What app store?
Okay.
I was
Joni,
going to make a recommendation. Yes, I was like, oh wait, pick me. So one of the things that we're doing in the Light Center right now is the reading club. We meet once a month, and we're doing a series called An Article and an App. And so I've been learning about like how are we integrating apps. And one of the cool things is because your Westcliff email is a Google email, what I've been recommending faculty do is if you go to the website for any of these tools and like you want to keep them separate, like say you work at another campus, you can actually click on the button that says login with Google and use your Westcliff email just to build a Westcliff profile. Like I have just a Westcliff profile for Asana when I was, testing out some things and I didn't want it in my regular Asana. But all of these tools and Dr. Gray, if you have a better like place or repository to find them, but when you Google them, it's typically you just go directly to their website and they give you an opportunity to use it. One of the trade-offs though, and you do want to think about this is like the reason why ChatGPT has a free version is because they're using it to train ChatGPT. And they're all like that. And so, again, things, concerns on data, and protecting information. So that's why that do and don't list that Dr. Gray shared is so important.
So basically, if I go to Google, I can just Google like MindMeister or Scrivener,
Yep.
or Watson, and they all have separate websites. Like they all
Yep.
have their own website, and then there's in their website, there's a place that says, "Oh, free trial," or download the
And
app.
some of them will have an app. I mean, a lot of them do have apps, but I get a lot of use just from web versions.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to remember which one. Like when you download the app, they want to charge you money, but the web version is like cloud-based and then they use it for free. So there might be some
Okay.
variations with that as well. So, but
Okay.
yeah, they're
So just
very
go to the
easy to find.
website and not like an iTunes, or don't go to a certain store, just their
Right.
website. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Let us know how it goes. We're
Okay.
always here to help. Any other questions? That was a great question, by the way. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Dr. Becker said, best presentation we've had on this. Nicely done, Dr. Gray.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for these tools. Best to go through the slides and build your own list of apps you want to use. Yeah, if you actually have your list of apps, that's what I've done. That's a great recommendation. And then kind of the reason, like, okay, why am I opening this app? Because you can get app overload for sure, but just trying one or two out, yes, just so you know. Dr. Johnson, why are you telling people the truth? He said Dr. Gray is not a real person. This is AI generated. She is sometimes too good to be true. So thank you so much, everyone. If you have any other questions, reach out to the Light Center. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up here. Oops, did I miss my, okay. And shameless plug, because we will be doing an article and app next week. So if you have some time to join us on the 30th, which is Tuesday at 5 p.m. We're going to be talking about implementing AI into active learning environments. So we always want to talk about active learning. How are we engaging with students? Are there ways to use tools, AI-driven tools or AI integrations into some of the tools that we're already using for active learning. And you should have a calendar invitation for that already. As always, we want to make sure that you do complete the survey. So please do open up that last link in the chat there, the webinar survey. And I also wanted to include the webinar recording that you can find in Acorn that has Westcliffe's policy that I mentioned that Dr. Crow did for us earlier this year. Keeping in mind what Dr. Johnson shared about some of the newer versions of Turnitin now that are even breaking out some of the AI information. These things are moving fast, but not to overwhelm us, just to keep us on track. So again, please do complete that webinar survey. Oh, so sorry. Let me just double check that one. That last one should work. Okay, yes, that last one does open up. I'm not sure what happened to the one there. Please reach out to me if that one does not open for you. Before we leave, Dr. Breck said on that, if you haven't seen Lex Fridman, Mark Zuckerberg interview in Meta using hyper-realistic tech, go look it up. It's wild, I bet. All right, on that note, everybody, we are right at the hour. Thank you again, Dr. Gray. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.